Before I begin, when I was back in the department in 2008, 2009 timeframe, I actually got to meet Frank Buckles in West Virginia when he came to meet with Secretary Gates, and life comes full circle. So I'm very reflective this morning when I was coming in thinking about this ceremony. Thanks, Chris. But Terry Hamby, T.D. Johnson, U.S. Mint, all the representatives that made this day happen, thanks for being here. It's a great day because it's an opportunity to remember the 4.7 million American men and women who served 100 years ago as soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marine, and Coast Guardsmen during World War I. The soldiers that served 100 years ago represented the birth of the modern United States Army that we serve today. The First Army, the Second Army, the Third Army, the I Corps, as well as the division after division, to include such legends as the 33rd Perry Division from my home state of Illinois, the Yankee Division, the Rainbow Division, the All-Americans, the 82nd, and the 101st, and the list goes on and on. All came into being as our nation's direct response to worldwide threats of World War I. Those soldiers performed their difficult mission, and they left a legacy that touches us all every day. You can find more information on the U.S. Army role in World War I at the Center of Military History special webpage found at www.history.army.mil. No war should be forgotten. No military member's service should be forgotten. The lessons of their service needs to be honored and to be learned from. Their service, their inspiring legacy, is our nation's heritage. It is our gift to future generations of Americans. To that end, I'd like to extend our genuine thanks to the U.S. Congress for authorizing this commemoration of our soldiers and their comrades. Thank you also to the U.S. Mint for developing and producing this special coin. And finally, thank you to the U.S. World War I Centennial Commission for creating this program, along with the other programs to teach people about those 4.7 million American veterans did, why it mattered, and why it still matters today. Army strong.
Now I'd like to invite Chair Hamby to provide some remarks.
Secretary McCarthy, General Milley, Mr. Johnson, and the WW members and American Legion members. It's good to see you here. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the members of Congress who joined together for the bill for this coin, that being Congressman Cleaver and Congressman Sanborn and Senator McCaskill and Senator Blunt. And also Senator Poe, who was instrumental, Congressman Poe, who was instrumental in the forming of the World War I Centennial Commission. The World War I Centennial Commission was established to do three things: to educate, honor, and commemorate our 4.7 million veterans who served in World War I. To educate Americans about the past so that we do not repeat the future. World War I was a time when dynasties fell, when technology outpaced training, and men and women were sent into battle with wars of technology that created casualties that was unthinkable. With the invention of the submarine, machine guns, tanks, we went in horses and we came out with weapons of destruction. The lack of training at the time, we still sent infantry charges into withering machine gun fire. And as we talked about today, it's important to study the past so that we're ready for the future, whereby soldiers are trained for war fighting and equipped with the right weapons of today. The American Legion gave us a donation to educate our school children so that they would understand the sacrifices of those 4.7 million Americans that made certain that we continue to enjoy our freedoms that we have today. Through the American Legion grant, we have train the teacher programs going on throughout the U.S. today. To honor, we have 43 state commissions that we support, that we coordinate all the events where we're honoring Americans. We just announced the first 50, 100 cities, 100 memorials, where we recognize memorials throughout the U.S. that were erected for World War I, and we provided grants in conjunction with communities so that those men and women would be recognized again. What's so important by doing it in the States is because most of those memorials were built by friends and family for the men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice. And finally, to commemorate, in a fraternity, being a veteran, where we never leave anyone behind, over the last 100 years, we've forgotten 4.7 million veterans. They're the only war and the only warriors that do not have a memorial here in the nation's capital. With this coin, it starts the process to commemorate their service, and the proceeds that we get in the commission from those coins will make certain that those 4.7 million Americans will be enshrined and remembered forever here in the nation's capital. It will be America's memorial. I'd like to thank the U.S. Mint for the design of the coin, and Mr. Secretary for your support. And I feel like that we have a groundbreaking on November the 9th. It's in Pershing Park. And it will be the first step in establishing that memorial so that those 4.7 million men and women, my grandfather and my uncle, General Milley's grandfather and uncle, will be finally memorialized here in D.C.
Thank you, Chair. Finally, I'd like to invite up Mr. T.V. Johnson from the U.S. Mint, and at the same time, I'd also like to ask General Milley and Secretary McCarthy to join the reenactors to the tasteful drape, if you will.
First.
Mr. Secretary, General Milley, Chairman Hamby, thank you for your support. Thank you for your service to our nation, and distinguished friends, and even fellow Marines in the audience. Good afternoon. Our team at the United States Mint is proud to have the privilege of crafting a coin that will commemorate and honor the contributions and the history made by American men and women of all walks of life. They bravely stepped forward 100 years ago to defend the interests of our nation and those of our allies. World War I was billed as the war to end all wars. Young Americans came from every corner of our country, answering the call to arms to meet a global security threat head-on. They came from farmers' fields, bustling cities, and small one-horse towns across the USA. They were among the best of their generation. They readily shouldered the burden of making the world safe for democracy. Many must have felt certain that by serving, they would spare future generations the horrors of war. Well, whatever their motivation, these warriors and their fighting spirit represented the best of American intentions. President Woodrow Wilson clearly articulated our nation's noble rationale in this excerpt from his famed 14-point address, which he delivered before Congress on January 8, 1918. He said, "We entered this war because violations of right had occurred which touched us too quick and made the life of our own people impossible unless they were corrected and the world secured once and for all against their recurrence.
What we demand in this war, therefore, is nothing peculiar to ourselves. It is that the world be made fit and safe to live in, and particularly that it be made safe for every peace-loving nation, which, like our own, wishes to live its own life, determine its own institutions, and be assured of justice and fair dealing by other peoples of the world. Sadly, we as human beings have not lived up to Woodrow Wilson's post-World War I vision. We have not developed a solution to end war. And just as there was 100 years ago, there is a need for tough American men and women who will run to the sound of the guns in order to defend our freedoms and our way of life. I have a deep appreciation and a high regard for all of those who have worn the cloth of our nation. Thank you to all who have served. The World War I Centennial Coin celebrates and honors the soldiers, sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen who fought the Great War. The authorizing legislation for this coin called for a public design competition, and many talented artists submitted incredible work. The Mint offers its hearty congratulations and a sincere thank you to the winning artist, Mr. Leroy Transfield, for his design emblematic of America's involvement in World War I. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the designs for the World War I Centennial Silver Dollar.
Ready? I'm ready. At your command, Mr. Secretary.
The obverse of the World War I Centennial Silver Dollar, titled Soldier's Charge, depicts almost a stone-like soldier gripping a rifle. Barbed wire twines the lower right-hand side of the design. Inscriptions include Liberty, 1918, 2018, and In God We Trust. The reverse of the World War I Centennial Silver Dollar, entitled Poppies in the Wire, features abstract poppies mixed in with barbed wire. Inscriptions include $1, E Pluribus Unum, and United States of America. Thank you. May God bless you and the United States of America.
Can you come over here so we can get a picture with you and me in the corner? This is not one of your direct descendants right now. So here, you over on that side there, General, in case you wanted to see each other. You're right there. No, you're right there. Yes, sir. Very nice.
I'm at your disposal.
No, we gotta get this picture. This is one for the ages here.
You done
Me and
one,
Blackjack.
2, 3.
You lived in my house. I don't know if you know that.
I still inhabit it.
Yes, I know.
We play cards.